The billionaire's son was having a meltdown in a cheap diner. Everyone was watching. Everyone was judging. Then a woman he had never met walked straight to his table and stopped the screaming in under 60 seconds. He had no idea who she was. He offered her $1 million on the spot. She said no, because 20 years earlier, this man had destroyed her entire life. And he had no idea, but she remembered everything. Marcus Whitmore's $8,000 Italian leather shoes had never touched linoleum this cheap. The Sterling Street diner sat wedged between a laundromat and a check-cashing place in downtown Seattle, exactly 2.3 miles from his corner office at Whitmore Tech. But it might as well have been on another planet. The kind of place where the coffee was $1.50 and came in chipped ceramic mugs, where the laminated menus were sticky, and the vinyl booth seats were held together with duct tape. He checked his Patek Philippe, 11:47 a.m., 13 minutes until the Takahashi merger call, the call that would make him the first American to crack the Japanese semiconductor market, the call that would add another billion to his net worth, and he was here, in this place, with his son melting down in booth 7. "Elijah, we talked about this," Marcus said, his voice tight, professional, the same tone he used with underperforming executives. "You need to sit still for 20 minutes, that's all. 20 minutes, then we'll go back to the office." Elijah wasn't listening. The 7-year-old was rocking back and forth, his hands pressed hard against his ears, his eyes squeezed shut. The overhead fluorescent lights, those harsh buzzing tubes that Marcus had never noticed before, were apparently unbearable. The clatter of dishes from the kitchen, the hiss of the grill, the murmur of lunch-hour conversations. Every sound was an assault. Marcus had no idea. He had never taken Elijah to a place like this. Why would he? They had private chefs, quiet, controlled environments. Nannies who understood his son's needs. He had nannies. Sandra had quit at 6:47 this morning. No 2 weeks' notice, no warning. Just a text, "I can't do this anymore, Mr. Whitmore. Elijah deserves better than being squeezed between your calendar appointments. I'm sorry." He had stared at that message for 5 full minutes before reality hit him. He had no backup plan. His assistant was already scrambling to find a replacement, but that would take days. His mother, God, no. She had suggested boarding school last month. And Marcus had no other family, no village, just money. And money couldn't solve this. Not in the next 13 minutes. So he had done the unthinkable. He had brought Elijah with him, stopped at the first place he saw near the office, assumed his son could just sit, eat chicken nuggets, be normal for 20 minutes. The waitress, Beth, according to her name tag, approached cautiously with a plate of nuggets and fries. She was maybe 22, probably working her way through community college. Her smile was kind but nervous. "Here you go, sweetie," she said softly to Elijah. The plate hit the table. Elijah screamed, not a tantrum scream, a primal, terrified sound that came from somewhere deep and wounded. His hand shot out and swept the plate across the table. Nuggets scattered, fries flew. Ketchup splattered across Marcus's $3,000 suit jacket. The diner went quiet. Conversation stopped. Forks paused mid-air. Heads turned. Marcus felt every eye on him, judging, watching the billionaire who couldn't control his own kid. He saw a middle-aged woman 2 booths over whisper something to her husband. An older man shook his head. A teenager smirked and raised his phone, probably filming for TikTok. "Elijah, stop!" Marcus hissed, reaching for his son's arm. Elijah pulled away violently, knocking over his water glass. Ice and liquid cascaded onto the floor. Now he was shrieking, no words, just raw anguish, and hitting his own head with his palms. Hard. The way he did when the world became too much. Marcus froze. He genuinely did not know what to do. His $4.2 billion empire, his 3 degrees from Stanford, his legendary ability to predict market trends, none of it meant anything right now. He couldn't fix this. He couldn't control this. He couldn't even comfort his own son. Beth backed away, overwhelmed. The manager started walking over, clearly preparing to ask them to leave, and then the kitchen doors swung open. Gloria Jenkins stepped out, wiping her hands on her grease-stained apron. She wasn't supposed to be front of house. She was a line cook, 58 years old, 5'3", with silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun, and deep lines around her eyes that spoke of hard decades and harder losses. Her uniform was faded. Her shoes were off-brand. Everything about her screamed exhaustion. But her eyes were sharp, focused. She looked at Elijah, not at Marcus, not at the mess, not at the staring crowd, and something in her face softened with recognition. She walked straight to booth 7 without asking permission. Marcus opened his mouth to protest, but something in Gloria's calm presence stopped him. She didn't acknowledge him at all. She simply slid into the booth across from Elijah, moving slowly, deliberately, like someone approaching a frightened animal. She didn't touch him. She didn't try to restrain him. She didn't say sure it's okay or any of the useless platitudes Marcus had heard 1,000 times. Instead, Gloria started humming, low, soft. A melody Marcus didn't recognize, something old, maybe a hymn, that barely rose above the diner noise. And while she hummed, her weathered hands began gathering the scattered fries from the table. One by one, she placed them in a line. Then she curved the line, added more fries, built it out, section by section, with the focused patience of someone who had done this before, who understood. She was making a train. Elijah's screaming began to quiet, his rocking slowed, his hands lowered from his ears, and then, impossibly, he looked at her. Direct eye contact. Something Elijah never did, something the therapists had told Marcus might never happen. His son's brown eyes, rimmed with tears, locked onto Gloria's face. The humming continued. The train grew longer. Gloria added a few nuggets as cargo cars. Elijah's breathing steadied. The diner remained silent, but now it felt different, not judgmental. Witnessing something, Marcus sat frozen, his merger call completely forgotten, watching a stranger in a grease-stained apron do what he had failed to do in 2 years, reach his son. Gloria finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "You like trains, baby?" Elijah didn't answer, but he didn't look away either. She smiled, warm, genuine, and gently pushed one fry train car forward. "Choo-choo," she whispered. And Elijah Whitmore, who hadn't smiled since his mother's funeral, who hadn't connected with another human being in 729 days, smiled back. Marcus had missed the merger call. For the first time in his professional life, Marcus Whitmore, the man Bloomberg called the algorithm, had completely ghosted a billion-dollar negotiation. His phone had buzzed 17 times. His CFO had called. His legal team had panicked. The Takahashi representatives had waited on Zoom for 12 minutes before disconnecting. He didn't care. He was watching his son eat French fries off a napkin train, making quiet choo-choo sounds under his breath. Gloria had stayed for 23 minutes. She hadn't said much else, just sat there, rebuilding the train when Elijah accidentally knocked it over, humming that same soft melody, letting him exist without pressure or expectation. When she finally stood to return to the kitchen, Elijah's hand shot out and grabbed her apron, not aggressively, gently, the way a child reaches for someone they don't want to leave. Gloria's eyes glistened. She patted his hand once, twice. "I gotta get back to work, baby, but you did so good today, so good." That's when Marcus found his voice. Wait. He stood fumbling for his wallet. His hands were actually shaking, something that never happened during hostile board meetings or SEC depositions. "Please. Thank you. That was, I don't know what you did, but," he pulled out a stack of hundreds. He didn't even count them. Maybe $2,000. "Please take this, and I need to hire you. Name your price. Whatever you make here, I'll triple it, quadruple it. My son needs—" "No." The word was gentle but absolute. Gloria didn't even look at the money. Marcus blinked. Nobody told him no, not like this. "I'm sorry. I said no, sir." Gloria's voice was kind but firm, the way a grandmother corrects a child who should know better. "You can't fix this with money." "I'm not trying to—" Marcus stopped himself. That's exactly what he was trying to do. Then what? What do I do? I don't know how to reach him. The therapists, the specialists, the programs, nothing works. But you just sat down and he looked at you. Do you understand how significant that is? Gloria studied him for a long moment, not with the deference people usually showed Marcus Whitmore, with something closer to pity. "That boy doesn't need your money, sir." She said it quietly, but every word landed like a stone. "He needs someone to see him, not fix him, not change him, just see him." She turned and walked back through the kitchen doors, leaving Marcus standing there with cash in his hand and absolutely no idea what to do with it. "Beth," the waitress approached timidly. "Sir, your check is—" "Keep the change." Marcus threw $300 bills on the table for a $23 meal and walked out, carrying Elijah, who was clutching a napkin with fry grease train tracks on it like it was made of gold. That should have been the end of it. Marcus Whitmore didn't chase people. He didn't beg. The world came to him, not the other way around. But 3 days later, he was back at Sterling Street Diner, 11:30 a.m. Same booth. "Just coffee," he told Beth. "You want me to tell Gloria?" "No, don't. I'm just having coffee." He wasn't just having coffee. He was watching through the kitchen window as Gloria worked the grill, flipping burgers, calling out orders, moving with the efficient grace of someone who'd done this for decades. And during her break, she came out, not to Marcus's booth but to wipe down tables. She saw him, nodded once, didn't smile, didn't approach. The next day he came back, this time with Elijah. His assistant had found a new nanny. Claudette, highly credentialed, spoke 4 languages, specialized in special needs care. She lasted 6 hours before Elijah locked himself in the bathroom and refused to come out. So Marcus had canceled his afternoon, picked up his son from the Montessori school that cost $60,000 a year, and driven to the diner. Gloria was on break, eating a cup of soup at the counter. She glanced at Elijah, then at Marcus. "Booth 7's open," she said simply. This time, when Elijah saw her, he didn't have a meltdown. He climbed into the booth and waited. Just waited. Gloria finished her soup, didn't rush, then walked over with a handful of crackers, saltines. She broke one into 4 precise squares and arranged them in a pattern. Square, triangle, circle, square. Elijah watched, fascinated. "You know shapes?" Gloria asked. Elijah nodded. "Show me a triangle." Elijah's small finger pointed. Smart boy. "Now show me a circle," another point. "Correct." Gloria smiled and handed him the circle cracker. "That's yours." Elijah took it, examined it. He didn't eat it. He just held it, feeling the texture, the edges. Marcus sat there, invisible, as Gloria spent her entire 15-minute break teaching his son through crackers. When her time was up, she stood, and this time, Elijah let her go without grabbing. Progress. It became a routine. Every day for 2 weeks, Marcus brought Elijah to Sterling Street Diner. He stopped pretending it was about the coffee. Gloria stopped pretending she didn't expect them. She had work her shift, then spend her breaks at booth 7, teaching Elijah about the world through food. Smooth mashed potatoes versus bumpy oatmeal. Cold applesauce versus warm soup. She had let him smell things before tasting them, let him touch textures, let him say no without punishment. "Food's honest," she told Marcus one afternoon. "It don't lie. It's cold or it's hot, soft or crunchy. Kids like Elijah, they need that honesty. The world's too confusing otherwise." Marcus learned she had worked at the diner for 11 years. Before that, a nursing home. Before that, a school cafeteria. Always cooking, always feeding people. 3 jobs currently, diner mornings, catering nights, weekend cleaning gigs. "My grandson's got medical bills," she explained without elaborating. "His mama, my daughter Keisha, she passed 3 years back, lupus. So it's just me and Terrell now. He's 9. Good kid." Marcus did the math in his head. 3 jobs, a grandson to raise. Late 50s, probably no retirement savings, definitely no health insurance worth a damn. "Gloria, I'm going to ask again. Please work for me. Not as a nanny, as whatever you want to call it. A companion for Elijah, a consultant, I don't care. Name any salary, any benefits. I'll cover your grandson's bills, set up a trust fund." "You see that?" Gloria asked. "He's stacking. He's creating, calm and focused. You know why?" Marcus shook his head. "'Cause nobody's trying to fix him right now. Not me, not you for once. He just is, and that's enough." Marcus looked at his son and felt something crack in his chest. When was the last time he had let Elijah just be? Without therapists analyzing every behavior. Without educational apps optimizing his development. without Marcus himself hovering anxiously, trying to mold his son into something manageable. The sugar packet tower reached 9 packets. Then Elijah carefully reached for a 10th, and the whole thing collapsed. Marcus tensed, expecting a meltdown, but Elijah just looked at the scattered packets, looked at Gloria, and said, in a small, rusty voice that Marcus barely recognized, "More," one word, one single, impossible, beautiful word. The first Elijah had spoken in 2 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Marcus's vision blurred, his throat closed, his hands started trembling so badly he had to grip the table. Gloria's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled, radiant, proud. "Yeah, baby, more. Let's build it again." And in that moment, in a $1.50 coffee diner that smelled like old grease and broken dreams, Marcus Whitmore, billionaire, genius, master of the universe, put his face in his hands and wept like a child. The other diners pretended not to notice. Gloria reached across the table and squeezed his shoulder once. "Now you were starting to see him," she whispered. Marcus came back the next day with a check, not cash this time, a certified check from Whitmore Private Holdings, made out to Gloria Jenkins. $1 million. He slid it across the table during her break. Elijah was arranging Cheerios into constellations, something Gloria had taught him yesterday, completely absorbed. "Before you say no," Marcus started, his voice quiet but intense. "Just listen, please." Gloria stared at the check. Her hand trembled slightly. $1 million. Enough to pay off Terrell's medical debt completely. Enough to quit the catering job, the cleaning gigs. Enough to maybe, finally, breathe. "My grandson needs surgery," she said slowly. "His heart, congenital defect. The doctors say he's got maybe 2 years without it, but the insurance won't cover the specialist we need. Says it's experimental." Her voice cracked. "I've been saving for 6 years. I've got $43,000. Need another $310,000. Marcus leaned forward. "Then let me help, not as charity, as payment, real payment." "Elijah said his first word because of you. Do you understand what that means? What you've given us?" Gloria closed her eyes. "Mr. Whitmore, he needs you. I need you. Full time, live in if necessary, or whatever schedule works. I'll build you a separate apartment on the estate. Terrell can have the best schools, the best care. You'll never have to work 3 jobs again. You'll never have to choose between a bill and your grandson's life." The kitchen timer dinged. Gloria's break was over. She picked up the check, stared at it for a long, agonizing moment. "Okay," she whispered. Marcus exhaled a breath he didn't know he had been holding. "But not for you," Gloria continued, looking him straight in the eye. "For Terrell. You understand? I'm doing this for my grandson. To give him what I couldn't give." She stopped herself, folded the check carefully, put it in her apron pocket. "When do you need me to start?" 2 weeks later, Gloria Jenkins moved into the guest house on the Whitmore estate in Medina. A $47 million property with 15 bedrooms, an indoor pool, and a view of Lake Washington that belonged on a postcard. Terrell came with her. The 9-year-old was quiet, polite, overwhelmed by the sheer size of everything. His eyes went wide when he saw Elijah's playroom, bigger than their entire old apartment. For the first month, it was perfect. Elijah thrived. He started using 2-word phrases. More crackers, blue train, Gloria stay. He smiled daily now, sometimes even laughed, a sound Marcus had forgotten existed. Gloria coordinated with Elijah's therapists, implemented sensory-friendly routines, and taught Marcus how to communicate with his own son, patiently, without judgment. And Marcus, for the first time since his wife died, he felt like maybe, possibly, he was becoming an actual father instead of just a provider. Then his mother visited. Catherine Whitmore arrived unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon, emerging from a chauffeur-driven Bentley in a cream Chanel suit that cost more than Gloria made in a year at the diner. She found Gloria in the kitchen, teaching Elijah and Terrell how to make edible Play-Doh from peanut butter and honey. "Marcus." Catherine's voice could freeze champagne. A word. Privately. In the study, she didn't sit. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. "You're letting the help raise a Whitmore." Marcus sighed. "Mother, Gloria isn't help. She's a line cook, Marcus. a line cook who somehow convinced you to pay her a fortune to babysit. She's helping Elijah in ways no one else could. She's manipulating you." Catherine's eyes were ice. "Honestly, I expected better. This woman sees a vulnerable, grieving billionaire with a special needs child, and suddenly she's indispensable. It's textbook. That's not, you don't understand what she's done for him. What I understand is that you've made this family look desperate. The Takahashi deal fell apart because you vanished. The board is questioning your judgment, and now there's a stranger living on the property with her grandson, with full access to our home, our lives. Elijah spoke because of her." Marcus's voice rose. "He looks people in the eye now. He's happy, Mother. When was the last time you cared about that?" Catherine's face hardened. "I care about protecting this family's legacy, which apparently I have to do alone." She left in a cloud of expensive perfume and cold fury. 3 days later, Page 6 ran the story. Tech mogul Marcus Whitmore, 41, has reportedly paid former diner cook Gloria Jenkins $1 million to move onto his estate and care for his autistic son. Sources close to the family question whether Jenkins, who has no formal credentials, is taking advantage of the grieving widower. The article included a photo of Gloria, clearly taken with a telephoto lens, walking Elijah and Terrell to the park. The caption called her the $1 million nanny. Marcus's phone exploded. His PR team panicked. Business partners called with concerns. The tabloids picked it up. TMZ did a segment. Then came the board meeting. "Marcus, we need to discuss your judgment lately," Richard Chen, his CFO, said carefully. The other 11 board members watched with varying degrees of concern and opportunism. "My judgment is fine. You missed the Takahashi merger. You've been distracted. And now there's this publicity situation with your domestic staff." "Gloria isn't. The optics are terrible," interrupted Sandra Voss, the head of legal. "We're fielding questions from investors about your stability, your focus, whether personal issues are compromising your ability to lead." Marcus felt the walls closing in. "My son is thriving. That's not a distraction. It's the most important thing I've ever done right." "We're not questioning your priorities as a father," Richard said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But as CEO of a publicly traded company, you have responsibilities." "I know my responsibilities. Do you?" This from James Barrington, the venture capitalist who had been angling for more control for years. "Because from where we sit, you've paid $1 million to someone with no background checks, no credentials, no, she's helping my son, or exploiting your grief." James didn't blink. "We've done some digging, Marcus. Ms. Jenkins has significant debt. Her grandson needs expensive surgery. Then suddenly she meets you, and within weeks she's a millionaire living on your estate? You don't see how that looks?" Marcus stood, his hands flat on the conference table. "This meeting is over, Marcus. I said we're done." He came home to find Gloria sitting in the kitchen, his hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. Her face was gray. "What happened?" Marcus asked. Wordlessly, she slid a folder across the table. Medical records, old ones, from 20 years ago. Her son, Deshaun Jenkins, 19 years old, autistic, died from a congenital heart defect after being denied a life-saving surgery. Denied by Cascade Regional Hospital Network. Marcus's blood ran cold. He knew that name. "Page 17, Gloria whispered. He flipped through, found the denial letter. "Read the reason code, Policy 7C, experimental procedures not covered for Medicaid patients per cost efficiency protocols, implemented 3rd quarter 2004. And there, at the bottom, the signature of the policy architect, Marcus J. Whitmore, Chief Financial Officer, Whitmore Health Management. The company he had built his first fortune with, before the tech empire, when he was 26 years old, ambitious, ruthless, optimizing hospital systems for maximum profit. He had written that policy, implemented it across 17 hospitals, saved the company $43 million in the first year, and it had killed Gloria's son. Gloria's tears fell silently into her tea. Found out yesterday, was researching Terrell's surgery, pulled up old records and... Her voice broke. "I've been in your home, caring for your child, taking your money, and the whole time... Gloria, I didn't know, I swear I didn't. 20 years, Mr. Whitmore." She looked at him with hollow eyes. I've spent 20 years carrying the guilt of not being able to save my boy. And you were the reason I couldn't. She stood, leaving the mug on the table. I'll be gone by morning. Keep your money. I can't do this. Please. Elijah deserves better than this. Than me. Than all of it. She walked upstairs to pack, and Marcus Whitmore, who had solved impossible problems, who had built empires, who had conquered every challenge he had ever faced, had absolutely no idea how to fix what he had broken. Elijah stopped eating. Not gradually, completely. One day to the next, Marcus tried everything. The sensory-safe foods Gloria had introduced, rejected. The Cheerio constellations, ignored. Even the fry trains that had started everything, Elijah just stared at them, then pushed the plate away. He didn't speak anymore either, not even more. It was like watching a light switch flip backward into darkness. The new nanny, Christine, $200 an hour, Columbia trained, lasted 4 days before she found Elijah trying to unlock the front door at 2 a.m., crying silently, still wearing his pajamas. He keeps asking for someone named Gloria, Christine said, exhausted. He won't sleep, won't eat. I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore. I'm not equipped for this. Nobody was. Marcus tried calling Gloria. Blocked. He showed up at her old apartment. The landlord said she had moved out. No forwarding address. He even went back to Sterling Street Diner. She quit, the manager said, not bothering to hide his disgust. And honestly, after what I read in the papers about you, I'm glad she got away, Marcus wanted to explain, to defend himself. But what could he say? I killed her son with a spreadsheet when I was 26. He went home and found Elijah sitting in the dark playroom, holding one of Gloria's old aprons she had left behind, rocking back and forth. His son had regressed further in 2 weeks than he had progressed in 2 months, and it was Marcus's fault, all of it. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he sat in his study, the same room where his mother had called Gloria the help, where his board had questioned his judgment, and pulled up files he hadn't looked at in 20 years. Policy 7C, the cost efficiency protocol, his masterpiece of corporate optimization. He read every page, every denial, every case flagged as non-essential experimental treatment. 47 people denied. He found Deshaun Jenkins in the database. Case number 0847, 19 years old, required valve replacement surgery. Experimental at the time, now standard procedure, cost $180,000. Denied, March 14, 2004. Died, April 2, 2004. 19 days. Marcus read through the medical notes. Deshaun was an art student with a passion for trains, especially model trains. He had created a full miniature railway in his mother's living room. According to his caseworker, Deshaun was high-functioning autistic, nonverbal, but expressed himself through building models. He shared a close relationship with his mother, who worked several jobs to support his care. Gloria had taught her son the same way she had taught Elijah, through patience, through trains, through seeing him, and Marcus had killed him with a policy designed to boost quarterly earnings by 8%. He stood abruptly, grabbed his keys and walked out of the $47 million estate that suddenly felt like a mausoleum. It took him 3 days to find her, private investigators, social media deep dives. Finally, a friend of a friend who worked at a community health clinic in Rainier Valley mentioned a woman matching Gloria's description, bringing her grandson in for appointments. Marcus drove to the address, a rundown apartment complex where the elevator was broken and the hallway smelled like mildew and microwaved meals. 3rd floor, Unit 3F. He knocked. Terrell answered, skinny 9-year-old with serious eyes behind thick glasses. You're Mr. Whitmore, the boy said flatly. My grandma doesn't want to see you. I know, but I need to see her. Please. She cries now, Terrell said, and the accusation in his young voice cut like a blade. She didn't used to cry. You made her cry. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Can I talk to her? Just 5 minutes? Terrell studied him with unsettling intensity for a 9-year-old. Then he turned and called, Grandma, he's here. Gloria appeared in the doorway, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, looking smaller somehow. Older. The light had gone out of her eyes. Go to your room, Terrell, she said quietly. The boy obeyed, but shot Marcus one more withering look before disappearing. Gloria didn't invite Marcus in, She just stood there in the doorway, her arms crossed. "What do you want?" Marcus had rehearsed a speech, talking points, explanations. All of it evaporated. "Elijah stopped eating," he said instead, his voice cracking. "He stopped talking. He's disappearing again, and I don't know how to reach him. I never knew how to reach him. That was always you. That's not my problem anymore. I know, you're right, I just—" Marcus ran his hands through his hair, suddenly looking every one of his 41 years. "I came to apologize. Not as your employer, not as Marcus Whitmore, just as a man who destroyed your life and didn't even know it." Gloria's jaw tightened. "You want forgiveness? Is that it? You want me to tell you it's okay so you can sleep at night? No, because it's not okay. It'll never be okay." Marcus's eyes were red-rimmed. "I killed your son, Gloria. I did that. 26-year-old me, who cared more about profit margins than people. I wrote that policy, implemented it, probably got a bonus for it, and Deshawn died because of me. So what now?" Gloria's voice shook. "You say sorry and expect me to come back? Fix your son while mine is still dead? No, I expect nothing. I deserve nothing." Marcus pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Not a check this time, just papers. I'm stepping down as CEO. Effective immediately. I'm liquidating 60% of my personal holdings and starting a foundation. The Deshawn Jenkins Foundation for Special Needs Healthcare." He handed her the papers. She didn't take them. "Free medical care for children with special needs. No insurance requirements. No cost efficiency protocols. No child ever has to die because a spreadsheet says they're not worth saving. Your son's name will help save thousands of kids. And I'm naming you director. If you'll take it—" Gloria stared at him. "You think you can buy your way out of this? No. I think I can spend the rest of my life trying to make sure no other mother loses what you lost. It won't bring Deshawn back. It won't erase what I did, but it's all I have to offer." Then the silence stretched between them. "And Elijah?" Gloria whispered. Marcus's face crumpled. "He needs you. Not because I'm paying you, because you're the only person who ever really saw him, the only person who didn't try to fix him or change him or optimize him. You just loved him. The way you loved Deshawn." A tear rolled down Gloria's cheek. "I can't forgive you," she said, "and I can't forget what you took from me. I know, but—" Gloria closed her eyes. "I can't let another child suffer because I'm drowning in the past. Deshawn wouldn't want that." She opened the door wider. "One condition. Terrell comes with me, and he gets to meet Elijah properly. Those boys need each other." Marcus nodded, not trusting his voice. "And you?" Gloria pointed at him. "You stop trying to buy solutions. You show up. You do the work. You become a real father. Deal. Deal." Gloria grabbed her coat. "Let's go get your son." 1 year later. The Deshawn Jenkins Medical Center stood gleaming in the September sunshine, a state-of-the-art facility in South Seattle, built specifically in a neighborhood where families like Gloria's lived, where help had always been too expensive, too far, too impossible. The lobby was packed. Local families, city officials, news crews, and medical staff. A massive banner hung above the entrance, "Because every child deserves to be seen." Below it, a picture, not of Marcus, not of the building, but of Deshawn Jenkins when he was 17, smiling quietly, holding one of his model trains. Marcus stood backstage in the community auditorium, adjusting his tie for the 5th time. He wasn't nervous about public speaking. He had given keynotes to thousands. But today felt different. Today mattered in a way quarterly earnings never had. Elijah sat beside him, wearing a blue button-down shirt he had picked out himself. The 8-year-old was calmer now, more present. He still had hard days. Loud noises still overwhelmed him sometimes. Transitions were still challenging. But he was here, engaged with the world. Next to Elijah sat Terrell, now 10, wearing glasses and a tie that matched Elijah's shirt. The two boys had become inseparable. Terrell helped Elijah navigate social situations. Elijah helped Terrell with math. They communicated in some hybrid language of words and gestures and model trains that only they fully understood. "You ready, Mr. Marcus?" Terrell asked seriously. Marcus smiled. The boy still called him Mr. Marcus even after a year. Some formalities died hard. I think so. You? I'm not talking. Grandma Gloria she's going to be amazing. She's always amazing, Terrell said matter-of-factly. The auditorium doors opened. Families flooded in, parents holding children with Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, rare genetic conditions. Kids in wheelchairs. Kids with service dogs. Kids who stimmed and rocked and made noises that other places called disruptive. Here, they were just kids. The program began. The mayor spoke. A pediatric cardiologist explained the center's mission. Then Marcus took the stage. He kept it brief. He spoke about healthcare as a basic right, not a privilege. He mentioned the cost of efficiency when human lives are reduced to numbers. His voice wavered once, when he brought up the policy he had written 2 decades ago, but he carried on. This center exists because of one woman's grace, Marcus said, looking directly at Gloria in the front row. Grace I didn't deserve. Grace that changed everything. Ms. Gloria Jenkins, director of the Deshaun Jenkins Foundation. The applause was thunderous. Gloria walked to the podium slowly, wearing a simple navy dress. Her hair was still pulled back, silver streaks more prominent now. But her eyes, those eyes had their light back. She gripped the edges of the podium and looked out at the crowd. My son Deshaun died when he was 19 years old, she began, her voice steady. He died because the system decided he wasn't worth the cost. He died because profit mattered more than people. He died because I couldn't afford to save him. The room went silent. For 20 years I carried that. The guilt, the anger, the grief that never quite scabs over. I worked 3 jobs trying to outrun it, trying to earn enough so my grandson wouldn't face the same fate. She paused, emotion flickering across her face. And then I met a little boy in a diner who was drowning just like my Deshaun used to drown. Overwhelmed by a world that was too loud, too bright, too much. And I saw my son in him. I saw every child I couldn't save. Gloria's voice strengthened. But here's what I learned. Grace isn't about forgetting. It's not about pretending the hurt doesn't exist. Grace is about choosing, every single day, not to let the pain have the final word. She looked at Marcus. Mr. Whitmore can't bring my Deshaun back. This building can't bring him back. But what we can do is make sure no other mama has to choose between rent and her baby's heartbeat. No other child gets reduced to a policy number. Gloria turned to face the families in the audience. Deshaun loved trains. He built entire cities out of tracks and model buildings. And you know what he taught me? That even broken tracks can be rebuilt. Even derailed trains can find their way home. Her voice broke just slightly. This center is his tracks, and every child who walks through these doors is coming home. The applause started before she finished. Rising, swelling, parents standing with tears streaming down their faces. Gloria stepped back from the podium, overwhelmed. And then Elijah stood up. Marcus's hand shot out instinctively. Sit down, buddy, it's not time. But Elijah gently pushed it away. The 8-year-old walked down the aisle, past rows of people, past the cameras, past everything, until he reached the stage steps. The room fell silent. Everyone watching. Elijah climbed the stairs carefully, one at a time, until he stood in front of Gloria. She knelt down to his level, worry and confusion in her eyes. Baby, what? Elijah took her hand, looking straight into her eyes with that focused, steady gaze she had worked so hard to help him develop. And, in a voice that carried across the entire auditorium, he said, Thank you for seeing me, Grandma Gloria. 7 words, the most words he had ever spoken at once. Gloria's face crumpled. She pulled him into her arms and held him while her shoulders shook with sobs. Terrell started crying in his seat. Marcus covered his mouth, tears streaming freely. And then the entire auditorium was crying. Parents, doctors, politicians, reporters, everyone. As this little boy and this grandmother, who'd lost everything, held each other on a stage built from grief and grace. The cameras captured it all. But some moments are bigger than footage. Some moments are just everything. The video went viral within hours. Not as a scandal this time, as hope. #ThankYouGrandma trended worldwide. The Deshaun Jenkins Foundation received $47 million in donations in the first week. By the end of the month, 3 more centers were announced in different cities. And in Booth 7 at Sterling Street Diner, which Marcus bought and turned into a non-profit community kitchen. There's a permanent plaque, in memory of Deshaun Jenkins, who taught us that everyone deserves to be seen, in honor of Gloria Jenkins, who taught us how to see, and in celebration of Elijah Whitmore, who taught us it's never too late to come home. Beneath it, embedded in glass, a napkin with fry-greased train tracks, where it all began.